Hi folks, Editing Sara here. So this will be the second half of our discussion of a human reaction. But before we get to that, I have a bit of news. This is going to be the last episode we put out for a little while. Over Christmas, Jack went to visit his family, and while he was there, he caught COVID. He is doing better. He is on the mend, but we don't know when he'll be home and ready to record. So we'll keep you posted on that, but this is going to be the last episode for just a little bit. Okay? Please enjoy our discussion of the rest of our discussion of a human reaction. And so we come to favorite...
Don't try to get back in your persona. You're just ranting and raving, Sara.
And scene.
Trying to be all serene and shit. So
you're making this harder.
Come on, boys, we've got to support her, okay?
Oh my god.
Oh, we got you back, Sara. We're here.
Absolutely. I'm sure. And that's it, like John never had sex in a bathroom bar or the women dragged him into anyways.
Tell us more, Josh.
I'm just saying.
Maybe that's a good time to switch to talking about Aeryn and John.
Sure.
Oh.
Because this is the episode where we finally got some sex.
Finally.
For Muppet Sex and Trauma.
You know,
I mean, we've had, there's been characters who had sex before, John the Mind Frail, but yeah.
And then Dargo had the
yeah, Dargo definitely had some sex.
Dargo blew out the side of a wall.
But for Aeryn and John, we had our first, and it's very sweet and off screen.
I was so elated and relieved that afterwards I felt like I had just had sex. It was just like, oh, finally, like, oh, thank God.
And if you contribute to Patreon, you get to see it.
You'll get to see Jack's face, apparently.
Pretty much, yeah. It's
I mean, I wasn't far behind you, buddy.
I loved it, and I loved like the sound of the rain and the thunder and just the whole thing is just magical. And then I love afterwards how John's like, like about last night. And she was like, it was fine or something.
He says, I wrote it down. Yes, it's fine, John. It's just not top priority right now.
Yeah, I love
perfect.
The way I read that is she thought that John was about to be insecure about his performance, and I love the idea of that being universal, like men being insecure about sexual performance. I love that.
But I also love it as a speech to the audience, because we've been doing the whole moonlighting in space thing. Mm-hmm. And with all of those will they won't they, usually it's always about the sex.
Yeah.
This one isn't about the sex.
No.
Despite our podcast name.
Because it's fine. The sex happened, but it's not the priority.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's also, I think, it's definitely sort of a gender flipping. Aeryn is literally wearing, the suit, which she looks amazing in. Mm-hmm. Just quick side note, calm down. And
it's true. Yes.
It's like John is waking up after the night and wanting to talk about their feelings and what's just happened. And Aeryn is the one cutting him off, being logical. And it's definitely a gender flip thing. And I think that's definitely setting the tone for, okay, it's happened, but that's actually not what is yet to be resolved. It's the physical side of things has happened and there was emotional connection there, but it's not over. There's still things to be addressed. So I thought it was just really well done, a perfect interaction. Just Aaron's reply that, yes, it's fine, John. It's just, it cracks me up. It's perfect. It's exactly what you would say.
I caught the gender flip as well. And I had the notion as we were watching it that I would have fallen even more in love at that point if a woman said that to me the next morning while we were on the run from a shadowy government agency. But so I was getting Terminator vibes.
Terminator 1?
Yes.
Yeah, Kyle Reese
and Sarah Connor, yeah. When they were on right down to the rainy hotel room and everything like that. But I love A, that they're doing it, and B, that it seems to have been done on purpose. Because right before they turn to kiss each other, they are yet again shot shoulder to shoulder.
Dressed identical.
Yeah, and I just love the very, what seems at this point this whole season, very deliberate, consistent blocking choice of that intimacy of like neither of them are ahead or behind. Nobody's facing and nobody's turned away, and even like it's not facing each other; it's facing the world together. Like it just absolutely warms my cockles, and then from there that they make love together, just
and that kiss, that just like gentle, tentative, slow, intimate kiss that just like he's going for it, but he's doing it so. It's like you can hear, are you sure? Are you ready? Do you want this? But it's all in the body language. And just like the acting in that is just so good.
I also read it as them, they've been sort of like flirting with each other, and they've had this will they, won't they? But I also felt it was them also like taking comfort in each other, which I thought was really beautiful too, because of everything going on, and then the rain in the background, and I just love it so much.
And the rain was unplanned.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, this was all scripted to be on. There was scripted to like be a sunset and talking about sunshine and everything, and they got sunshine for the first day when they did the landing and everything and the beach work. But then when they went to do the next day to do this section, it was pouring with rain. And so they kind of had to do some last minute rewrites and a bit of improv. Like the line where Aeryn just is like, is that what you call this?
That was improv. Adorable. That was so adorable. I love that so much.
That was Claudia Black.
I actually found an interesting tidbit when I was searching IMDb for the filming location, and I stumbled on a pretty interesting note. Let me see if I can find it. Sorry, 1 second.
I guess the last time Aeryn saw some rain, it was Rigel exploding piss.
You would go there.
So I read on IMDb. It said water doesn't show up on film. So during the scene when Crichton and Aeryn arrive at the safe house, they had to add milk to the water that they used for the rain, which is interesting because I couldn't help but stare at the end of Ben Browner's nose and notice that the water drops had this like milky white color to them. So that's interesting. Maybe like it was raining, but certain scenes the rain stopped, so they added artificial rain to keep it going or something. I don't know. But this is IMDb. It might not be true.
And cameras are finicky about what they'll pick up depending on the lighting.
Well, see, and now I'm just imagining a grip or a PA at the top of a ladder while they're filming that with a jug, with like a garden can of milk as it's raining, and he's getting too.
That is not how they do rain in film. There are specialized machines that are meant
milk.
It would be a formulation that is meant to show up on screen.
Another thing I know about rain machines is they don't just like drop it down. They actually spray it upwards and then let it fall down on its own because it looks more realistic.
Yeah, I find that interesting that the rain wasn't planned for because it just works so perfectly thematically in the episode. John arrives on Earth. It's the sun, which has been missing so much because he's been in this permanent sort of nighttime on the ship. It's, he's finally home. He's where he needs to be. He feels the sun, and then comes in, the butt. But his friends in this other life that he's built, you know, cannot coexist with this world, but, you know, he has to choose between the two in this scenario. And it just works so well thematically. So I find that really interesting that it wasn't planned. But don't plan for Sydney weather. I mean, that was the first mistake.
Yeah.
We're like, oh, Australia, Sydney, sun.
Could you imagine if they tried to do that in Melbourne?
At least in Melbourne, you could plan for rain.
For rain, yeah, absolutely.
For rain, you plan for rain. Here, you can't. Here it's summer at the moment. It's non-stop rain just because of the way the anyway, but yes, don't plan for Sydney weather.
They do a lot of filming here, and we just had pieces of the on the mainland, entire chunks of the mainland got cut off for days because we had more rain than you're supposed to get in a year in a day. That was fun.
We're fine.
We were okay. Most of the island was okay, but yeah. Sometimes you just have to go with what happens. And I think one of the strengths of Farscape is that they're really good at seeing what they can run with and just be like, okay, it rained. So how are we going to adapt? Oh, that's good. I like that.
Yeah, almost like guerrilla filmmaking or something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Or any wildlife, yeah.
Yeah,
I love this man so much.
No, and so it's interesting that they had originally planned a sunset, because I think that ties nicely into Charley, what you were saying about how them having sex is, you know, it's not actually the point. It's not actually it's impossible to avoid this particular pun. It's not actually the climax of their relationship. That there is another phase to come, and so the writers probably had some kind of symbolism in mind with that sunset.
Yeah, that's true. The sunset with the blacks. Yeah. But I think the atmosphere with the rain was just
it's so much better.
Yeah,
great. Yeah. So I'm glad it turned out that way.
I also love Aeryn's just, you know, absolutely sure, but also just absolute willingness to kill anybody to protect John. That's pretty good. That's pretty great.
Yeah.
Amazing when they're escaping from the facility, and there's this sort of amazing camera work where she's in a corridor just beating up some soldiers, and then it pans over to John, you know, in the foreground walking towards Cobb, and eventually she'll come in on and point her gun at Cobb. It was really great camera work, and I loved it. It was both hilarious and really nice and sort of badass and sinister. And it showed them working together, and I love it. But yeah, just her beating up some soldiers. It's just.
And in another appreciation for Claudia Black moment, she made up the language and talked backwards.
I love all of that stuff. I think Josh, you pointed out during the live watch how cool it was to get a peek behind the curtain of the translator microbes. That was really, really cool.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that as well.
And yeah, the fact that Claudia Black made it all up is just really impressive, because it does sound like an alien language. And she adds these weird inflections to it too, and noises and stuff. I don't know. It's just really good.
It's backwards talking.
Yeah. Yeah. It's really cool.
Yeah.
See, I thought they did that with some sort of technology or something. That's really impressive.
Yeah, that's what I would have assumed too, if I didn't know otherwise.
I mean, they might have added some post-production to it. But mostly, she's just an incredibly talented actor.
But that makes sense, because her lips did match up with the sounds.
Yeah.
So it makes sense that it's at least partially her doing the work.
Yeah, and you can typically tell too, because if they reverse the audio, they would also have to try and reverse the video as well, and that's very apparent when they try and do that stuff. And I didn't spot any of that, I don't think.
And we also got some of Hynerian, I guess, with Rigel speaking.
Yeah. Oh, and I also love Aaron's costume change into the dress. It like the dress itself is pretty, but my God, she looks god awful in it. I no disrespect to Claudia Black, because that's very much the point. It was meant to look awful.
She's
but
so
I just
uncomfortable.
Love that. Yeah.
I don't know where they got the dress. I don't know where they got the clothes. Yeah. Did they go shopping?
It literally looks like they went to an op shop, like a thrift store. That it literally just because
Maybe they did the old trick of nicking clothes that were hanging on the clothesline.
That's a good trick.
Good enough for Star Trek.
Steal from the rich and give back to the poor later.
Yeah. Yes. But she's just so uncomfortable.
Yeah, her body language is so good.
She's just utterly mystified by these gender roles too. Like, what's wrong with this suit? And my answer would be, it's not tailored enough, because my God, she would look amazing in a tailored suit.
It was so baggy, wasn't it?
Yeah. Like I agree, Charlie. She looked good in a suit, but she would look wow in a tailored suit.
Of course. But yeah, I mean, even then, get rid of the suit jacket and anyway. Look, any suit she'll look amazing, and obviously tailored would be better.
But just her like, what? I clevered my body. What? These are entirely functional clothes. What? Why am I being asked to wear this ridiculous thing? It's just quite marvelous. You get to play with the gender roles of it again.
Yeah.
I did have a question for the boys, if now's a good time. I did want to know what you thought of Rigel in this episode and what they did with him and to him.
The aliens killed, like deliberately killed Rigel, and they do that to get under Crichton's skin, to get a human reaction, as they said. But I don't understand how that would help them gauge how they would be received on Earth, because I'm sure if you kill the friends of any being in the universe, you're going to get a pretty harsh reaction, and that's the vibe that they got from the episode. They did that to see how we would react, and I just don't know. Yeah, I found that a little confusing, and so I just part of me also just wonders if it was just the writers being a little manipulative to get a human reaction from us, the audience, which is pretty much what I think they would have done, or what they were doing.
So knowing that, and what his bug dad revealed at the end of the episode, that they constructed this facsimile of Australia and Earth from John's memories, and knowing also how unhuman-like the aliens were revealed to be, I feel like it was a very deliberate choice to have Rigel be the first one to go down, because he looks the least like the humans amongst the three of them, Aeryn and Dargo and Rigel. But I don't feel like it was the aliens making the choice to get a rise out of John.
Okay.
My impression was that at the point that they began this activity in this simulation, it was self-sustaining, and the aliens weren't really doing anything other than observing everything.
Oh.
So to me, what happened to Rigel is what John was afraid would happen to Rigel in this scenario.
Oh, okay. I like that read.
And so that gave them the best impression that they could get of what humanity probably would do.
I have a different reading.
Okay.
So they presented to him as Rigel died by accident, right? My thinking is, had John been shocked at Rigel dying and been like, oh my God, what a horrible accident, and absolutely bought that it was an accident, then we would get the sense that, okay, things like that don't happen. But John is like, of course they killed him. Mm-hmm. And that, I think that's the reaction that they were looking for. That John's reaction tells them what John was expecting. So kind of similar thinking, but like, because if John had been like, no, what the fuck? No, that they wouldn't do that. This must have been a terrible mistake. Then it would be like, okay, so John doesn't really think that they would do that deliberately. When John is like, oh, you guys, you went and did it. Mm-hmm.
I mean,
similar reading, but slightly different.
I absolutely do believe that, like a shadowy, unknown government agency would absolutely do that if they found an alien. And speaking of people not doing things and whatnot, the line "peacekeepers wouldn't even kill their prisoners to study them." I don't believe that. I'm sorry.
No, somebody else is a bit deluded there about her government.
The space Nazi fascists would absolutely do that.
Yep.
I mean, at the point that I always think about that part and might as well rip this bandit off. I thought this was Maldus. And I always think about that part in Maldus's episode when Krace gets back to his ship and wakes up and the second in command is there and she's like, I didn't tell anybody. And he just reaches over and he's like, all right, cool. Like that's the level of like regard for life the peacekeepers have. I thought this was Maldus. So at the point that I figured out that this was not actually Earth, I thought that the reveal was going to be that this was Maldus. And I couldn't figure out why it was Maldus. And that's probably because it wasn't Maldus, but I thought it was Maldus. And I want Maldus to come back. I miss Maldus. I really liked Maldus.
That would be very cool. Yeah,
It's a good episode.
I think I would prefer it if it was Maldus, to be honest, because I like the idea of aliens trying to figure out how they would be treated on Earth, but I don't think the idea wasn't fleshed out all that well here. I don't think it could have had a better through line and a better sort of not resolution. That's not the right word. It just could have been expanded on more, I think. I know that look, Sara.
You have no poker face.
Absolutely none whatsoever.
What about mine? Was mine good?
Yours was fantastic.
Perfect. Yeah. Okay, so
yes, well, the audience would be disappointed if I had a pure poker face, but I'm also not going to explain my face.
Oh, good. Leave us guessing. You can misdirect. You can do. Yes, that's great.
Yeah. We have 3 and a bit more seasons of Farscape.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Many things will happen.
Plenty of chances.
I'm ready. I'm so ready.
That was a good question, Charlie.
Yes, very good question.
I think I asked it because there are many times when I fall in love with Rigel in this show. I think this was probably one of the first ones. I think for me it was, they're definitely, I think, yes, like you said, Jack, they're trying to provoke a human reaction from us and they're, going quite into it. But also I think it makes sense because Rigel is not used to being in such a vulnerable position, at least not since he's been in, peacekeeper custody. At least not since he, went through all that trauma. And just from me, that the line when Wilson or whoever is asking, what the aliens are saying, what these creatures are saying, and Donna's like, well, they're afraid. They're saying they're afraid. And Rigel is like, I'm not afraid. I'm just sick. I'm not afraid. My heart broke. The delivery was so good and my heart broke. And it's like, he is afraid, but he's, trying to play it off like he's not afraid. And it's just such a beautiful moment. Same with Dargo when he says, I will not be a prisoner again. It's just done so well. I feel like by this point we really know these characters and we know their vulnerabilities, and it's put on display really perfectly, and it's all there to sort of obviously to test John. And it's done perfectly. But definitely one of the moments where I fell in love with Rigel.
I definitely felt just as gutted as Rigel was when they cut over to his autopsied body.
The things you can do with puppets.
And I was just like, oh damn, like they went there, holy shit. Yeah. But also the reveal at the end, A, that Rigel is fine, which great, but B, that Rigel, Dargo, and Aeryn were really there, like that was really Rigel, Dargo, and Aeryn, means that at the point that they realized that John might be in trouble, Rigel was one of the ones who wanted to go and help him. Mm-hmm. Like Rigel was like, I'm coming too. And then,
whatever. But I'm not coming to check on him.
Yeah.
I wasn't worried.
I need to make sure that I can stay in possession of his belongings, or whatever excuse you would have made up. But he decided he was also worried about John. He went after him.
Love just about Rigel in general. I just love how well they have been able to make him seem like a real character, with motivations and personality and feelings, and like it's so great from like a little frogman, like
this fucking puppet has made me cry.
Yes,
so many times,
especially because like he's the comic relief most of the time. So the fact that they can still be so emotive with him is just incredible.
Yeah. And that was real Rigel concept art that they had in the drawings.
Oh, cool.
And of course, one of his old puppets, because they have multiple Rigel puppets. I love Dargo saying, "I'll not be captured again." Again. How many times does Dargo take that?
Well, he is a warrior, so I imagine it's how it happened a couple of times.
I swear I shall not be captured. Oops, a net has got me.
And I have a feeling it's going to happen again.
Oops, the guys. I need to do a how many times has Rigel been captured? My boy didn't get a whole lot in this episode, but I thought what he had was great.
What he had was great.
Yeah.
And I was also so relieved that it really was Rigel, Dargo, and Aeryn, because that means that Aeryn and John's night together was real.
Yes, but just on the topic of that, I just want to add that I hope that that's not nullified or something in the next episode. I hope like one of them is like, oh, we're just in a simulation and a stressful situation. It doesn't mean anything, blah, 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 blah. And that's probably going to happen, I'm assuming.
I will tell you that it won't happen.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm glad.
They're not going to suddenly be dumb.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, that's not a spoiler,
yeah.
But it is. But is it a spoiler to say that this thing that the dumb thing isn't going to be happen? They aren't going to be like, let's get married in the next episode.
Yeah. I'm not expecting.
But yeah,
I just don't want them to go back on it.
Yeah, in Farscape, they rarely go back on anything.
Okay. Cool.
Very rarely, so you can just assume that that you won't know how things come back.
Yeah.
It's the thing. You never know how consequences are gonna play out.
Okay.
But there always are consequences for things.
Yeah, I was
like
gonna say something.
That's real.
Things sometimes take a while to come back or develop, but they do.
Yeah, I've noticed that with the show, just even in the first season. Yeah.
And interestingly enough, in the U.S. edit, because they had slightly different edits for the different markets, because the U.S. one was always slightly shorter.
Mm-hmm.
And in that one, they left out the parent. I haven't seen it, but apparently they left out the Crichton in the bed bit.
What?
So people were a bit more ambiguous about whether they actually bonked or not.
But it was gay in the Spanish dub.
Pretty much.
That might be an old. Time on the internet moves so quickly. That's probably an old reference by now.
It's okay.
But yeah,
I still liked it.
What we saw, what has been, and what is on Prime is the European edit. Apparently,
it was a reversal of gender roles, so it wasn't suited for an American market.
Of course.
In my experience, talking about last night is never really that good of an idea anyway.
Yes, surprisingly, the gender of the person who usually does want to talk about last night is different than the way the TV usually portrays it.
Yeah.
Imagine.
Yeah. Actually, you know what? No, talking about last night would be the healthy adult way to do it. No, that's fine. Let's talk about last night, friends. Let's always talk about last night.
Jack, it was fine, but it's not a priority right now.
Yeah, perhaps priorities.
I love these people so much. I love you all. It's just great.
Love you too, Jack. And the rest of you as well.
Well,
yes. Big much.
Look, we are having the conversation.
There we go, about our feelings for each other.
We've just woken up from, a weird night. Somehow all of us ended up in a podcast together.
Muppet sex and trauma.
But considering how sexist this show is, it was remarkably tame.
I mean,
it was sort of
it's all implied. It's all implied, really.
Well, yeah. Compared to back and Back to the Future, when what's her name was throwing John around the room, and compared to like Dargo just absolutely like train tracking his partner in Thank God It's Friday again, but like.
Both of which Rowan Woods directed, so it's I saw the same director on all three of these.
Like this was so like the movie is rated PG.
There are some episodes coming up. You're not ready.
Yeah.
And I don't know why this was censored out, given
what's to come.
Anyway, what's to come.
I don't think this was censorship. I think this was discretion.
Well, so maybe that's the thing, because this wasn't necessarily a casual hookup. This was supposed to be like a romantic escalation of their relationship, and maybe that's why they wanted to keep it, delicate and oh no, oh my, pan over to the fireplace and that kind of thing. Yeah. Exactly.
But yeah, I mean, the fact that it was the same director who gave us Matala.
Matala, thank you.
Matala.
I think the discretion is a choice.
Mm-hmm.
See, the fact that this is one of my favorite episodes, and I hated Back and Back to the Future. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Things happen, I guess. But
it's interesting. I know this is a little out of left field, but I am so disappointed that we didn't get to see Chiana frolicking around Earth, like being a nuisance and being all crazy and stuff. Like, we don't know. Well, Josh and I don't know her all that well yet, but I think it would have been really cool to see her on Earth interacting with people and
When they wrote this episode originally, they didn't know that Chiana was going to stick around, so they added bits for her in the intro, but they didn't have, they didn't really know what they were doing with her. We've got like sort of in a couple of these episodes, you're going to notice it's confusion as to whether she's doing her Australian accent or putting on an American one. It's because they are still trying to figure out what to do with her.
And that's very common.
Before they settle on the pronunciation of Zan's name.
Yeah. So
Zan.
Yeah. So this is why we've got the brat. We do have her character is formed enough that we know that she is a brat.
Yeah.
So
it would be fun.
I do love her opening scene with Zan. No, I've changed my mind. You adapt to me.
Also, I know why they didn't do it, and I know it kind of would have been really jarring, but I would have laughed so hard if during the goodbye scene, she was just like, see you, John. Everybody else is all like sad and crying, and she's just like, bye-bye. That would have been great.
Is he the captain? How does he get to stop the ship? Can I stop the ship?
Yeah.
Charley, do you have any Chiana thoughts? I see that you are a fan of Chiana, as we can see.
How can you tell? I love her. I love her from the get-go. Obviously, we're not talking about the previous episode, but she's immediately doing just something amazing with her physicality and her presence, and she feels both perfectly otherworldly, but like I immediately understand who she is, and who she is as a brat, as you were saying. And I feel like there's not much I can say without getting into spoilers, but I love her introduction, and I love her in this episode. Obviously, you can tell they don't know what they're doing with her yet, but you just have to put her on the screen, and she'll be amazing.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I wanted to comment on John and his relationship to his dad. It's not. So this is obviously not his dad, right? And so whatever, issues that John feels like he was able to work through in this episode with his dad still exist, or will have to be rehashed in some form or fashion or whatever. But what I find really fascinating is that this was John's dad as John sees him. And so in a lot of ways, this version of Jack Crichton that we got in this episode is kind of like a wish fulfillment. This is who I believe my father to be. This is how I believe he would behave in the situation. And so Jack's, stalwart standing by of his son and calling in every marker that he can, even though he gets rebuffed, and, showing up with the final goodbye and you've got to go and here's everything that I can give you to help you, kind of a thing. All of that gets really bittersweet when we understand that this is how John hopes his dad it would be, and this is the man that he believes his father is. And it kind of also turns into a little bit of this is who John wants to be, because it also ties back to, again, that gray hair at the beginning of the episode, which I'm making a lot out of that gray hair, I realize, but that gray hair at the beginning of the episode is a connector in my mind for not only is this who he hopes his dad is going to be, but a lot of the like we were saying before, the stock daddy issues that come along with these kinds of archetypal characters include the either aspiration or fear of turning into their father. And so this is also who John wants to be, and who John tries to be. And so this is who he sees his dad as. It adds kind of an extra layer onto the omnipresent compassion that John always has, and just the whole I'm going to do the right thing, do gooder kind of mentality that he carries around. He's carrying around this version of his dad with him through space, and that's just, to me, that's really bittersweet, and that's really heartwarming, and also leaves me tense and on edge because every once in a while reality crashes into our own impressions of people, whatever that might look like on this show. I know it'll tear my heart out because it's this show. But just in this episode, it was just really kind of wow, ouch, really, really ouch.
And to go along with that, the thing that I hadn't mentioned, we've got the good luck charm. Mm-hmm. Little puzzle necklace that is the piece of his dad that he carries with him, that the alien gave back to him at the end.
Yeah, that's nice.
Josh, what are you doing to me? What are you? I appreciate you. Oh.
I'm glad you're here.
Yeah, I think that really summed up. I think he's looking for while he has issues with his dad, he's looking for the best in him, not the worst. And the fact that he's also looking for himself in his dad is, that he's looking for the best for himself and who he's going to be.
Yeah.
To me, this was also very obviously about immigration and refugees.
Oh,
okay.
And the really smack in the face commentary of and speaking again from an American perspective, we tend to treat them like shit. There's a really famous statue here in the United States called the Statue of Liberty that has an inscription on it. It says, "Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to break free or to breathe free," and we don't really give a shit about that inscription currently.
Okay, so we may not know about the Super Bowl, but we do know about the statue.
I know you do, Sara. I was being ironic. Because it's a French gift, and yes, everybody knows.
And it is a beautiful poem by Emma Lazarus.
That we haven't really given a shit about recently. And
Statue of Liberty, isn't that in Rio? Never mind.
Listen.
Good joke.
I've seen the French version.
The very kind of crushing reveal at the end of the aliens being we're not going to Earth. Because it's not just a tragedy for John. It's a tragedy for humanity. Of who would want to visit us if we meet our own people with fear and hatred?
Exactly.
Why bother?
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. That point that John made, or is it John? I think he makes it about the missions where we just send stuff out into space, and we're like, "Hi, aliens! We're really friendly. We're look at these things that we've made. Like, come on over."
Yeah, greeting cards on the moon.
Yeah, and when I think everyone knows the reality would not be that, and that does go over really well to the sort of the allegory there for immigration, because Australia is not any better on that front. Yeah. And it's always that it's our land of opportunity. Here, land of you give a go, you get a fair go, et cetera, et cetera. Diversity, everything, blah blah blah. But it's it's a nice lie that we tell ourselves about.
Land down under, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Well, it isn't always a lie. I actually am an immigrant to Canada. I was 4, and my family came to Canada because as a mixed race family, there weren't nobody was giving my dad opportunities in Britain. Because my dad is brown, and it was 1980. It was 1984 when we moved, and we actually kind of did live the immigrant dream. It was not easy, and we had to go to Saskatoon. Actually, we started in a town called Turtleford.
What?
We started when we first came to Canada. We entered via Vancouver, but the first place we lived when we came to Canada was a tiny, tiny town called Turtleford, Saskatchewan, where Mom had a locum for a year. Turtleford.
That's exactly what the town would be called in the sitcom about the immigrant family experience. Right. That's exactly what the town would be called.
There is in fact a Canadian sitcom called Little Mosque on the Prairie that is about an immigrant community, including a family like ours, kind of. And the girl is even the doctor and kind of looks like Hannah.
Oh no!
Living in a tiny town on the prairies, and that wasn't exactly our life, but we did end up making community with the other local immigrant families, particularly when we moved to Yorkton, which was a little bit bigger for 2 years. And yeah, it was our family and the 2 Desi families and the Irish family and the family where the wife was Czech. We were our little community because everybody else was Ukrainian, because it was Saskatchewan. And then we ended up in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, which is a real place, folks. So sometimes the immigrant dream works out. But of course, there's an awareness that I didn't have then, that it comes at the cost of, we got a home that was built on stolen homes. And that is a reality that, we have to reckon with. But even when the immigrant dream works out, it's still colonialism. Yay. So yeah. For the record, my parents did have the opportunity to choose America and didn't. And I have
rest my case.
And should I do you want me to say how happy many times I've been very pleased that was the choice that they made. So maybe if the aliens land in, well, not Quebec. If the aliens land in, I don't know,
Turtleford. They land in Turtleford.
They might be okay. I don't know, none of it, White Horse, somewhere in I'm not sure.
Just avoid Australia all together. Don't bother.
Don't come to BC, it's too expensive.
Or the middle of the desert somewhere so you don't have to deal with any of us.
Well, that's where Aeryn was planning to go. I love when she had the map. It was there's so many, unpopulated areas that we could go to. And I'm like, yes, that is a lot of Australia. I'm not saying that all of it couldn't be. There's a lot of it is what we have done to the place. But that I found that quite a funny in-joke.
Yeah,
she wanted to go to the desert, which is a lot of Australia.
In an alternate universe, the rest of Farscape is them taking a purple bus around the outback.
See, I think perfect. But I think that is my point, is that or not my point, but to add on to that, I think there's a difference between, actually it's perfectly summarized in E.T. We've got the alien coming and landing and being and encountering with some regular folks. There'll be both bad and negative experiences, but I think, there could be a merging of worlds and cultures as soon as the government is involved. However.
Yeah.
So...
Yeah, because, our experience was great, but it was also 1984 and the government was still... It was the other Trudeau who was not this guy.
Sara, I'm now picturing Dargo in drag. I just want you to know that.
Oh my God. Okay, listeners, if anybody has any artistic talent of any kind,
oh, please.
We need to see Dargo in drag.
Please. I will love you forever. You will forever be attached to the Muppet Sex and Trauma lore. You will be.
And also, if you want to do these two boys in drag, that would be great too.
I'm down. Absolutely down.
Permission for likeness granted.
But,
I can just dig out some of my pictures of me in burlesque.
For those of you who haven't seen it, please check out Priscilla, Queen of the Desert, which is what Sara was referencing with the purple bus. It is the quintessential Australian film. It is wonderful. I'm just Dargo in drag. I just can't get that picture out of my mind.
Yeah, now I'm trying to think what the Dargo equivalent is of a cock in a frock on a rock.
Tentacle.
What is it again? A Luxon in a buxom.
A buxom Luxon.
Yeah.
Okay, well, now shall we move on to favorite things and start with our guest?
I know we seamlessly transitioned from the last thing we were talking about and didn't start talking about something else. So obviously I know what I'm going to talk about right now. And that thing is, favorite part is got to be Rigel. Got to be his vulnerability in this episode, him trying to mask his fear about the situation, and just the horror of what, and I know it's not real, but the horror of what happens to him. But definitely Rigel.
My favorite bit. This is really difficult for me. And still like right now I'm vamping because I still haven't really made up my mind. But gun to my head, it's the goodbye scene. It's just so beautiful and so well done. But very close second is Aeryn and John hooking up and that whole sequence.
When we were watching this together, I think I cheered audibly when Aeryn and John finally got together. So that's my favorite part, 100%, is them finally getting together. It was great.
And now it comes to me, and I'm trying to decide.
Right, it's hard.
There's a lot of great parts in this. I really love the bit of business with the good luck charm and the rain. But I think my favorite moment is going to be when John hesitates and Rigel validates him and supports him. I think as much as I love the love story between Aeryn and John, I really have a soft spot for the bromance, the best friend love story between Dargo and John that is developing. And I really love this moment between them.
Yeah, it's a great moment.
Yeah.
Yep, I agree. And it's bookended nicely at the end when Dargo and Rigel reappear, and Dargo is like, I'm ready to go home. Can we go home? Or something along those lines. And
Yeah.
I agree. The relationship is beautiful.
Mm-hmm. And I also do love and so will I. It is very closing, that he's going to keep searching for home. Now we have talked about the episode. We have done our favorite parts. Now comes the time when we tell everybody how they can find us. Mm-hmm. Charley?
You cannot find me. I am a ghost.
That's fair.
That's fair.
That's fair. We can find Charley and you guys can't. Ha ha ha.
Yeah. If you know where I am, you know where I am. Otherwise, yeah.
Or if you have any kind of like message for Charley, you could send it to us and we can forward it perhaps.
And I think we can guarantee that they will come back another episode.
Yes. Please join us, Charley.
Good. I don't have to beg to come back.
One of us.
Thank you. It's this has been so much fun. Thank you so much. And
very glad you're here.
Yeah.
And gentlemen?
You can find me on Twitter at lackofsurprise1. That's all one word with a number 1 at the end. You can find me on our Discord server. I'm Jack Sprattington or something there. And over on Instagram, I don't use it much, but I am there. That's at Jack Kramme, all one word. Josh, what about you, sir?
I'm also over on Instagram, and it's at Josh Gosdin. And so far over there, what we're doing is just talking about food and self-care, and that's what gets me through.
And you can find me at the Costume Codex on YouTube, and also on Twitter under Bluestock in Sara. And you can check out our Discord server, the link to which is always in our doobly-doo, or you can email us at muppetsexandtrauma.com, and you can also follow us on Twitter. And in 2 weeks' time, we will once again be together, we hope, to discuss Through the Looking Glass.
Ooh.
Now, this episode does come with a bit of a warning. For those who get sensory overload, there is a section of this that is quite a difficult noise for quite a lot. So you might want to have the closed captioning on and hit mute, because it's a bit overwhelming. Or, if it's just too much for you, we will fill you in on the plot. It's the section with the blue light. See it, hit mute, keep the closed captioning on. Or if you can manage the sensory overload, because it's quite a lot, then, so that is the episode. And I wanted to give everyone a bit of a heads up for that. And following that will be the episode A Bug's Life.
Oh, I'm a cute little bumblebee. Sorry.
Which will not feature a bumblebee.
Sorry, I'll just rewatch A Bug's Life then. That's fine.
You're a toy, you can't fly. Wait a minute, that's the wrong one.
I love this man.
And after that, there will be a 2-parter starting with the episode Nerve. And just to heads up, folks, we will be treating the 2-parter with 1 episode, as it is a complete story. And if we are lucky, we may have a guest.
Ooh, a guest, you say?
Thanks, friends.
Yeah. Thank you, friends. And be sure, if you are a Patreon subscriber, remember that our human reaction to A Human Reaction should be live on the Patreon right now. And if you are not a patron but would like to see that is easily remedied by becoming a patron.
Join us. Become one with us. That was really weird. Never mind.
That was really weird, but that's okay.
And to become one, I need some love. Stop, Jack. Stop.
Okay, Jack, never stop, but for now we have to stop. So, thank you, folks, and we'll see you in 2 weeks with Through the Looking Glass.
Goodbye.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.
Except, of course, it won't be 2 weeks. I do hope we'll be back recording soon, and we will let you know as soon as we are doing that. Yeah. As much as I adore Aeryn and Rigel, no, as get that. I said that. I'm always mixing up the names. That's why I'm not a shippy person, because if I tried to invent ship names, I would get them all. I'd get everybody's name wrong. No, as
you
much.
Can start that again if you want.
As much as I love John and Aeryn, I have a real soft spot for the bromance, the best friend love story between John and Dargo that is developing, and I love that moment between them.
Sara, I love you. You should probably do that again, because you definitely said John and Rigel.
Yeah. Yeah, you should probably take that from the top.
From the top, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely from the very top.
In the meantime, here is some more of Nerds Talk About Sports. I have no idea how I'm going to edit this. We are nearly at 2 hours.
I was just saying, good luck.
Yeah. Godspeed, Spider-Man.
I think I might take the sportsy sports bit might get cut down.
Just put it as an outtake, a blooper,
Yes.
One of my favorite bits, though. That's one of my favorite conversations we've had on this podcast.
I think I might well make it an outtake of us just.
It's not often I get to rant online about how much I despise sports. So.
I gave up one of my trade secrets of how I blend in.
It was very cathartic for me, is what I'm saying.
I literally do say, I hope your sports ball goes well.
Yes.
Yes, I wish you a full bowl of sports.
Enjoy.
Sports aplenty.
I hope the team you like wins.
Maybe just try and broaden your horizons a little bit.
There's a great line in an episode of Frasier where they're talking about it, and he goes, and I'm sure they're going to win a bowl or a cup or some other sports dish.
Sports dish, that's great.
I have occasionally watched hockey on purpose.
I enjoy.
I think once
sports.
It was the Special Olympics one where Canada was. Oh yes, Canada was beating America. That's why I watched it.
I enjoy sport. I just don't give enough of a shit about sports to know who's on first. I enjoy sports though.
I don't follow sports, but. I don't follow it, but I will watch it, and I find often it will be very visually, aesthetically pleasing. They're graceful with the jumps and the kicks and the
I'd rather watch dance.
If I had,
which is it's also remarkable watching. I mean, that's watching the remarkable skills of the human body.
I'd rather watch dance, but
well, that's less of the remarkable physical skills of the human body, unless they're doing unless they're doing combat. But for me, the let's marvel at the abilities of the human body is I'm gonna watch dance or opera.
If I was absolutely forced,
look at what human voice can do.
If I was forced to pick a sport to watch, I guess I would pick tennis, because at least there's something happening and it's not just dudes standing around waiting for something to happen.
Tennis is where something happens for you?
I get very little effort.
It's just a back and forth. And
that's all that happens.
But see, the sounds, the sounds.
Well, I find the sounds comical. That's why I like it.
They threw such a hissy fit when the first female tennis star was doing that, because it was so unfeminine. It's ridiculous. And oh my God, I even remember when I was a kid and had to have it on, it was still women had to wear white at Wimbledon. Women had to wear skirts.
Women had to wear white at Wimbledon.
So fucking stupid.
Remember, kids, physical strain isn't ladylike.
I guess.
Is that the takeaway there?
Audible grunts aren't ladylike.
Yeah, that's
which
okay.
Neither of those things bother me, let me tell you.
And ladylikeness has nothing whatsoever to do with being a woman. Much less with being female.
Yeah.
It's ladylikeness is just stupid. But yeah, tennis is insanely sexist.
Moral of the story.
I feel like
so is most sports.
Yeah, that's what I was like. I feel like, are we going to end this on the sports in general?
The moral of the story is turn off the sports and go watch a movie or read a book or something.
Because there's no sexism in movies ever.
Yeah, I can well imagine that, a bunch of sportsy people could sit around and have the exact same discussion about why are they interested in watching Marvel movies? They're all the same.
Well, I guess the moral of the story is mankind sucks and was a mistake.
No, it's that there's lots of different kinds of stories, and some people. I mean, that's what a sports game is. At the end, it's just a story about who gets more points or gets the ball in the net more.
I don't know. It's kind of crazy though. Like millions of years ago, a fish crawled out of the water, and now here we are, and all of this is going on. It's like just go back in the water. Just do us a favor.
I just want to know, how do we crawl back in the water? Like, Can we? Serious question. Is there any way to reverse engineer this evolution process?
I'd rather be a monkey in a tree.
Yeah,
that sounds
more that sounds more comfortable to me.
But anyway, no matter how bad sports are, the sportsy nerds are better than the running nerds.
That's the moral of the story?
Okay. I have no idea what that means, but I completely
you haven't met a running nerd? Oh my God, the running nerds.
I'm not big on running myself, in case you couldn't tell.
Yeah.
Get it? It's a wheelchair joke.
Okay, running nerds are so dedicated that they'll end up with their nipples bleeding, and they'll still continue.
Like Andy Bernard in The Office.
Yes.
It's happening.
Yeah. None of this is going in the edit.
I love The Office.
I love that we went from talking, what are we going to do with this weird segment where we talk about sports, and decided
and then we talked about sports some more.
Yeah, we're just going to...
No, basically,
let me give it a full video.
Bunch of nerds really don't like sports.
Just come up with 2 videos. Sorry.
Can you think of anything nerdier though? Not liking sports. That's like the nerdiest thing ever.
Yeah.
Apart from the sports nerds.
Yeah.
Because sports people are basically just nerds, but they're nerds for sports.
Like, I don't want to shit on anybody. It's just not my thing.
Of course not.
Yeah, they're just it's just about being enthusiastic for your thing.
Yeah.
And that's the moral of the story. We found it. We did it, guys.